What's up, gamers who are dark and cold and calm gamers? We are going to be re-ranking the killers of the historical center. Now, if you have been subbed to my channel for quite some time, you might have probably known that I have actually ranked these killers before, but I actually wanted to re-rank them again based on the plot story that I collected from Criminal Case Wiki. I will also be linking the description of the original video of the video that I did on ranking the historical center, but looking back at it, I felt like I need to redo it, considering the fact that I have a new ranking system. Whenever I get to rank a killer, I get to rank the killer based on their murder weapon. Is it something easy to acquire by an ordinary person? I also get to analyze their reason. Is it somewhat of an understandable reason, like jealousy, hatred, or a sudden burst of rage, which all of us could relate to. And then from those 2 points I get to decide on which rank they would belong to. And then after that, after I get to put them in which category, whether it's in the D tier list, C tier list, B tier list, and so on and so forth. And after that, I get to rate it on how realistic it is, if there are chances that something similar to this would happen in real life. I would scale it like around 1 to 10. Now, I also consider the weapon, not just the reason, but the ability to acquire it. That's pretty much. If it's if let's say for something like a very fancy weapon, like a poison, a very poisonous. Let's say it's a very poisonous medicine, or it could be anything. Then probably I don't think a very high, or I don't think a very ordinary person would be able to acquire something like that. So yeah. Okay, without further ado, let's start this ranking, re-ranking the killers of historical center. I will also leave the description of the original video that I did on ranking the historical center killers, and as well as the Criminal Case Wiki link that I had gathered information on each case and the story as well. There's also the transcript, you name it. Okay, the case number is number 22, To Die or Not to Die. The murder weapon was a sandbag. The victim was Jacob Dawes. Jones and the player headed to the local Grimsboro theater after Ramirez told them about a death there. The team then collected the body of actor Jacob Dawes, who was crushed by a sandbag on the theater stage that was given more weight than it could handle, according to Nathan's autopsy. The detectives were welcomed to the district by old lady Margaret Littlewood. Before the detectives investigated antiques dealer Desmond Galloway's antique shop thanks to her testimonies. They then discovered from Ramirez that stage director Phineas Fine had planned to carry on night show as scheduled. The killer then turned out to be Phineas himself. According to Phineas, Jacob was running Phineas' new play since he was a bad actor. Phineas had also tried to fire Jacob a lot of times, but the role was secured by a binding contract which prevented Jacob from getting terminated at will. He said Jacob had a bad tone and that he used to misbehave with everyone. Phineas then told Jones and the player that Jacob had to be replaced or else the theater company would be bankrupt before the end of the month. This confession prompted Judge Hall to sentence him to 30 years in prison with no chance of parole. Okay, right off the bat, let's analyze the murder weapon. Is it easy to acquire by an ordinary person? I don't think so. Even if you have acquired the weapon itself, which is literally saying sandbag, which it was used by Phineas, fine. It takes probably a lot of training to be able to carry that kind of weapon. You need a lot of strength, or at least a fair amount, to carry that kind of item on your back. So I would have to rate this killer an S tier. Yep, because it is not something that it is easy to acquire, and even if you did, it probably will take even years to be able to carry something that heavy. So yeah. Okay, let's move on. Oh, I forgot to mention the reason why they did it. So the reason why they did it is because, according to Phineas Fine, is because the actor Jacob Dawes was misbehaving. He had a bad acting skills, and he was also kind of like had a bad personality trait towards other co-actors or like co-workers. So I would say it's a pretty low reason to kill someone. So I'll have to replace that into an A tier, but considering the weapon, I would say he is definitely a first A tier, unless if there's anyone else who would replace him. Okay, let's move on to the next case. Alright, I almost forgot. Scaling it to 1 to 10. Okay. If this were to happen in real life, I would scale it like around 6.5 out of 10. Because 1, like I said, it is even if you did acquire something like the sandbag, but in the end, in the beginning, it's not something that is easy to acquire. And second of all, you gotta think on how you're going, or the person has to think on how are they going to use this murder weapon. So yeah, it's a very it's kind of like a difficult way to kill someone else. So yeah, I'll give it 6 out of 6.5 out of 10, because it's a very heavy weapon. So yeah, that's why I say 6.5. It's a very low chance, but there is a possibility that it will happen. Okay. Okay, case number 23, the final journey. Oh my gosh, these are one of the crossed star lovers, I would probably do a ranking of tragic love story cases as well. I would love to do that. I will include this one as well. Case number 23, The Final Journey. Murder weapon was a ultimum viaticum, also known as a poisonous plant. After Chief King informed the player and Jones about a dead body being discovered by Victoria Taylor, they went there and collected the body of her nephew, Daniel Taylor, who was found dead with no visible wounds on his body. Nathan could not ascertain the cause of death at first, as there was no indication how the murder happened. However, Nathan soon found toxins in the victim's body, which helped the detectives discover that Daniel was killed by a deadly flower called the Ultimum Viaticum, also known as Last Journey, or the Last Journey, if you will, which was used to poison him. They also discovered that Daniel had plans to leave Grimsborg for Australia, which disheartened and upset several of the suspects. In the end, the police arrested Daniel's girlfriend, Lily Robinson, for the murder. Lily then admitted that she and Daniel were soulmates, but Daniel had wanted to leave Grimsborg and go to Australia. However, Lily did not want to leave the city since it was her home and she belonged there. According to Lily, she could not let her love go away from her, as he planned to go with or without her, which led Lily to poison Daniel. Judge Hall sentenced Lily to 15 years in jail with a chance for parole in 6 years. Alright. Learning how to we call botany, I believe, or learning about plants and using that skill to murder someone. I think it would definitely be like something a very dreadful skill to be used. That's insane. I don't think anyone could be smart. I don't think anyone could be. I don't think there would be someone like Lily Robinson in real life. But again, that is just my theory because I don't usually watch news all the time. I'll never know. Considering her reason, which is she was becoming. I would say she was very attached to the city, Greensburg, right? And she also used the way she killed the victim was through her botany skills and the plant kills. So I'm going to give this an S tier kill, because not only she killed him very swiftly, it looked like the body like it's just dropped dead, like there's nothing, there's no blood, there's nothing, not even probably footprints. But again, that is just my theory because this case is very old. Man, scaling it 1 to 10 is what happens in real life. When I think it in a broader perspective, shucks, this is difficult. It would probably take years to be able to learn something like as complex as botanist. So I would say 5 out of 10. That's a very difficult skill to learn. So yeah. Moving on to the next case. This is a little bit creepy one. Case number 24. Excuse me, wait. My throat is acting a little bit. Anatomy of a murder. Murder weapon was a skinny knife. Victim was Wilfred Turnscrew. This case was actually a little bit creepy when you look back at it, but when you play at it as a child, it's like, oh, this is just an innocent case. But when you look at it in a much more broader and I would say much more mature situation, be like, whoa, what the heck is that? But yeah, anyway, I just want to point that out. Okay, let's read the plot story real quick. Excuse me. Jones and the player went to the Grimsboro Museum, where Jones challenged the player to find some hidden objects there to demonstrate their skills to Mayor Johnson. Okay, they're flexing their skills. Okay. When the player found a suspicious-looking mannequin, Jones realized that said mannequin was actually the taxidermied body of mystery novel writer Wilfred Turnscrew. Mid-investigation, Nathan told the team that he had found a bug in the victim's throat, leading the team to deduce that a disused garden at the edge of the forest was the true crime scene. Later, Jones asked the player to interrogate the curator Cornelia Trent, as that was how the killer was caught in Wilfred's novel. Afterwards, the team found the skinny knife used to kill Wilfred and arrested its owner, Hunter James Savage. However, the team then found enough evidence to arrest Cornelia for the murder. Upon the arrest, the detectives told Cornelia how they deduced that she had witnessed James beating Wilfred to unconsciousness and took the opportunity to kill him right then and there. Still insisting her innocence, Cornelia was sent to court, where she finally recounted how the museum was losing visitors because tourists were more interested in the sights provided by Wilfred's novels. As she could not take the museum's financial situation anymore, she decided to taxidermy Wilfred and put him to display to get everyone's attention back to the museum. Judge Hall then sentenced her to life in jail for the murder. Alright, okay. First, the murder weapon was a skinny knife. And by the way, that skinny knife was stolen from James. Like, how many times has this actually, this was the first case where James Savage was blamed for murder. Like, I feel bad for him when I look back at it, but it's pretty funny when you look back at it. But yeah. Okay, I'm gonna give this to Cornelia Trent. I'm going to bring her to the first A tier list. Okay, first of all, she almost framed James Savage being the killer. We kind of like, or it could be any player. The player could have probably misjudged James Savage for being the killer if you ever played this game before, or I don't know if you ever read one of the criminal case wiki, if that's your thing. But yeah, but in the end, kind of like, oh, I thought it was James Savage, but it was her all along, because she witnessed James Savage beating up Wilfred Turnscrew, and then she used that opportunity to kill Wilfred because the museum's attraction or people are getting less interested on the museum because of Wilfred Turnsko's novel. So yeah, I'll give him an A tier first spot, which makes Phineas Fine the second spot. Killer for in the A tier. Okay, the reason why I do not put her on the S tier is one, like I said, she was trying to frame James Savage, who's just an innocent hunter. And second of all, she used a I believe it was I kind of forgot it. I'm just going to say the skills to be able to do an animal mannequin. Supposedly, the creator, I believe, is the one who's supposedly to do that to animals, not human beings. So yeah, that's why I put her in the A tier. But if I would compare the two of them, Phineas and Cornelia Trent, I will put her in the first tier list because it is much next level to Phineas Fine. But again, this is just my opinion. Don't take it too seriously. I will also link the tier maker list link if you want to make your own tier list. So yeah. Did I read the story? I don't think so. Oh yeah, I only read the beginning. Excuse me. Mid-investigation, Nathan told the team that he had found a bug in the... Oh yeah, I already did that one. As she could not take the museum's financial situation anymore, she decided to remove Red and put him to display to get everyone's attention back to the museum. Judge Holden. Okay, excuse me for reading some of it again because that was like a little bit brain foggy there. But yeah, considering the skills that she used to execute this murder, I think it's a very pretty serious skill. I would have to rate this one 3 out of 10. It's definitely a 3 out of 10 because I don't think someone like an ordinary person would be able to execute this kind of skill to murder someone with it. So yeah, it's a 3 out of 10. But it probably will. You'll never know. So yeah. All right. Next case would be case number 25. The Ghost of Grimsburg. Murder weapon was a neurotoxin ampoule. Now, before I get to the victim was William Moss. Excuse me. Before I get to read the plot story, I did search up the murder weapon one time, and I don't think something like this exists. I think there's another word for this murder weapon. If you do know, please leave a comment below so that I would know. So just kind of like get a real picture, or I mean, get a real right word for this kind of weapon. So yeah. Okay, let's read the plot story. Excuse me. Chief King sent Jones and the player to a workshop where they collected the body of painter William Moss, who dropped dead as he was finishing a painting of the Mad Pilgrim. Excuse me. As the workshop was locked from the inside, Ramirez had panicked and thought the victim was murdered by the ghost of the Mad Pilgrim. Antique dealer Desmond Galloway then revealed that he had found a letter to the team and Moss' housekeeper. The zoo helped them deduce how the killer killed Moss despite the various disturbances, and clues that made Ramirez believe it was the ghost who murdered Wilhelm. The detectives found wealthy collector Patrick Rufio guilty for the murder. Patrick admitted that he was getting poorer day by day. He then thought of killing Wilhelm so he could spread the rumor of the ghost of the Mad Pilgrim and make profit by selling the original portrait of it. Just as Wilhelm finished the Pilgrim's eyes, he realized an ampoule containing a quickly degrading neurotoxin into the locked room through the window to give the illusion of the pilgrim killing the painter, thereby increasing the value of the painting. Rufio's heartlessness caused Judge Hall to sentence Patrick to life in jail for the murder. Okay. First of all, the murder weapon before I get to talk about the reason. The neurotoxin ampoule. I believe it's something like a glass that only scientists be able to use. That would, I don't know, put some gas on it. Yeah, I believe so, but thinking about the reason behind why Patrick Rufio did the murder is a little bit kind of low tier, to be honest, because the reason why he killed Wilhelm Moss was because Wilhelm Moss was painting the Mad Pilgrim, and as soon as he was finally starting to become finished with the eyes of the Mad Pilgrim, he thought, hey, I could, just kick the bucket for him, and then that would make the painting even more valuable, because I would spread that it is cursed. I don't exactly know his exact words, but I do believe something that words aligned to what he said in the game. He would probably spread rumors that the painting killed him, which of course it would increase the value of the painting. But if you think about it, why would you buy something like a cursed painting? Like, I don't know, probably an insane rich demonologist. But I'm going to give this one a tier first rank. So yeah, the very first one. So let's move on to the next case, because I wanna finish this tier list rank a little bit faster, if you will. Or if I can't, then I'm just going to keep going. Case number 26. The summoning murder weapon was a bloody knife. A very ordinary weapon, if you ask me. The victim was Simon Armstrong. Excuse me. Upon Ramirez's reports of a murder, the player and Jones headed to a local crypt where they found the body of Cooper High student Simon Armstrong, who was found lying dead in his own blood, with occult symbols carved into his chest. The detectives investigated the local cemetery after getting a call from there about Simon's murder, which turned out to be from high schooler Elvira Milton. The detectives were then spooked by a sleep-deprived Ramirez, which Jones believed was a zombie, before he realized his mistake. Funny. After Ramirez directed the detective back to the crypt to investigate again. Before the cleaning service cleaned up the scene, they found enough evidence to incriminate the victim's friend and high schooler Ophelia Lincoln for the murder. Ophelia admitted that she had a mental illness and suffered from lapse of memory. One night, while she was in a crypt helping Simon, she suddenly had a nightmare and saw all sorts of weird things. She was out of her mind, and as a result, she killed Simon without any involved thinking. Since Ophelia had no control over her actions due to her illness, Judge Hall sentenced her to stay 3 years at the Grimsburg psychiatric hospital, at the end of which the court would reevaluate the sentence given to her. Okay, let's discuss the murder weapon real quick. But first of all, it's called bloody knife, which I think it's a very common weapon, even so in real life. So I would consider it that any person could be able to access something like a knife, or even probably like the longest knife that they could possibly have in their homes. As far as for the reason, I don't think she ever did have a reason. It said from the data from the criminal case wiki. I will be leaving a link in the description about on that one if you're interested in reading them by yourself. She had suffered a lapse of memory, so it's like she's not very well aware of her actions. So I'm gonna put her in the D tier list, but considering the fact that if you compare her to Patrick Rufio, I think she would be second because of her disease. So yeah, let's move on. Oh, hold on. Scaling it 1 to 10. Oops, I also forgot to scale Patrick Rufio, excuse me. Okay, let's scale Patrick Rufio and as well as Ophelia Lincoln real quick. Patrick Rufio, I would say 6 out of 10, because there are some cases. Well, I don't usually watch news, but there would be chances that would happen. Not like the exact weapon as in the game, but yeah. This is just my theory, my own opinion. Do not take it too seriously. I'm just scaling it to 1 to 10 if this would happen in real life, just for fun and entertainment for the game. Alright, let's move on to the next one. There's a lot of diseases in this world, like disabilities. Some are even so worse that it could harm others, just what Ophelia Lincoln would have had experience. So I'm gonna give it a 10 out of 10. Yes, it does happen. We might not see it, but it does happen. We probably just don't know about it, but yeah. Let's move on to this case, another star-crossed lovers, or twisted love, if you will. Case number 27, the Lake's Bride, murder weapon, drowning. It's gonna be a sick one. Upon Ramirez's report, the player and Jones went to the Grimsburg Lake to collect the body of a local woman named Mary Gray, who was found dead, drowned inside the trunk of a car pulled from the lake. Ramirez and Ramirez and fisherman Floyd Russell insisted to the detectives that the murder was committed by the creature of the lake, just like an unsolved murder that happened 50 years previously. Despite the theories, they investigated Ramirez's lead for clues at the entrance of town. Later, the detectives were confronted by the supposed creature of the lake before they fled. They managed to salvage the killer's suit and all other clues to incriminate poet Alexander Blaminsky, responsible for Mary's death. It was discovered that Alexander had a mental illness, the poet claiming that he loved Mary. When Jones asked Alexander why he killed the woman he loved, Alexander replied with a strange answer. He said that love, passion, and death were all similar, and murder was the highest form of desire. Since Alexander had a mental illness, Judge Hall sentenced him to 30 years in jail, commuted by a psychiatrist. Okay, I'm gonna be putting Alexander Blaminsky. I don't know how to pronounce the last name of the killers, but yeah. I'm gonna put him on the C tier list. Probably the very first one on this one. The reason why I put him on the C tier list is because he is much more insane to Patrick Rufio and of course to Ophelia Lincoln, considering the fact that she has an illness. And the reason why I do not put the reason why I do not put Alexander Blaminsky on B tier or A tier or on S tier is because he had a very mental illness, similar to Ophelia Lincoln, if you think about it, but it is a much more twisted version. It's like a next level. So yeah, that's why I put him on the C tier level. But if you think about it, if you compare these other two, which is Phineas and Fine, Cornelia Trent, and Lily Robinson, these are much more like a higher reason. But then again, you know, just doing this for fun. This is just my opinion. If you don't like it, that's okay. You don't have to comment down below that, oh, I don't agree with your opinion or your tier ranking list method. You can just click away from this video if you don't like it. Just politely, you know, click away. And yeah, scaling. Oh yes, the murder weapon. If you think about it, water is probably the most accessible murder weapon that you could use. I mean, it was kind of fancy that he kind of used the car trunk to drown Mary Gray, which is very tacky if you ask me, which is another reason why I put him on the C tier. But at the same time, he's kind of like a twisted version of mental illness, and that's why I don't put him on the B tier, because there's another suspect that would topple that off. And The reason was that love, passion, and death were all similar, which I do agree to this point that it is a strange reason to murder someone, which is why I put him on the C tier. At the same time, the way he killed Mary Gray was very tacky. Okay, next, scaling this one out of 10. Almost forgot. Scaling this one out of 10. There's a lot of mentally insane people out there we probably even don't know. I'm gonna give this 7.5 out of 10. So yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next killer, which is case number 28, the Hunting of El Minero. We're almost there, I think. Yeah. Murder weapon was a chandelier. The victim was Hector Fernandez. Okay, let's read the plot story real quick. Upon Ramirez's report, the player and Jones went to El Minero to collect the body of resident Hector Fernandez, who was found dead, crushed by a chandelier in the mansion. Nathan was able to later reveal that he found anomalies in the brain due to a psychotic drug that would induce nightmarish visions to make Hector fear for his life. They also discovered that from an old photograph, the Manor formerly belonged to the family of the Fernandez family's housekeeper, Camilla Brown, despite the suspects and Ramirez insisting that the house was haunted. Physical evidence proved that the victim's wife, Gloria Fernandez, was the killer. Gloria explained that a few years back, when their son Aurelio died, Hector lied to everyone and said that their house was haunted and that it had killed their baby. One night, when Hector was drunk, he admitted to Gloria that he was not watching Aurelio like he was supposed to, and that he left Aurelio crawling around the house before he accidentally slipped and fell from the top, landing onto the stairs. Since Hector could not remember telling the truth, Gloria decided to give him a drug that made him believe that the house was really haunted. Day by day, Hector became more and more scared. And when the time was right, Gloria took the opportunity and killed her husband by crushing him under a chandelier. Judge Hall sentenced Gloria to life in jail for the brutal murder. So, let's talk about the murder weapon as usual. This was a very tactical kill. Now, what do I mean by tactical? It was mechanical. The way she used the chandelier was really smart. If you played this case, you know what I'm talking about. Or if you watch the case in one of the YouTube videos. Of course, I think I do, yeah. But just the arresting of Gloria Fernandez in the historical center. But if you played chapter, I think during chapter 1 or chapter 2, I think somewhere around those chapters, if you get to play this case, you'll know that there was a device to make the chandelier fall onto Hector, which is why I called it. It's a very nice tactical kill, and it was also mechanical. It was a mechanical kill. I'm going to give this one a B tier rank. The reason why I put her in the B tier was because number one, the weapon is pretty impressive. Not only she used the murder weapon, but she also mixed in the some kind of I believe, yes, Gloria decided to give him a drug, which kind of like mixed in the combination here and there, which is why it's another. Oh my gosh, when you think about it, there's a lot of star-crossed lovers. Lily Robinson, Gloria Fernandez, Alexander Valinsky. Oh my goodness, jeez, there's a love tragic stories in here. Oof. But yeah, she did love Hector Fernandez, but she kind of like, yep. This screwhead killed my baby, which she was not watching my baby like he was supposed to. So I guess so that's one of the important lessons of getting married. You gotta stay committed to your child. Alright, next case. This one, case number 29, no smoke without fire. Murder weapon was a knife. Another boring weapon, just like in the summoning. That was a boring case if you ask me. But this one, oh boy, I think this is an insane level of insanity. I'll read the plot story real quick, and then you'll see why I say it is insane. Chief King sent the player to the Grimsburg forest, where Jones accompanied the player later to collect the body of Connor Sullivan, chief of the Grimsburg Scouts, who was found dead, tied to a bonfire in the middle of his Scouts camp. Mid investigation, young Scout Aidan Young was seen crying about his mother's grief over the victim's death. The murder weapon was later confirmed to belong to Hunter James Savage, although James said that he was allergic to chocolate, which was found in his knife. Additionally, it was found via James' Tia Parlor owner Gertrude Piccadilly and Eagle Scout Isaac Weston that the victim had started restricted fires, terrorized his scouts, and stole scout money for alcohol. It was eventually revealed that Isaac was responsible for Connor's murder. Isaac said that one day Connor got drunk and lit a fire in a restricted zone of the camp. Despite warnings from James, Isaac then saw the fire, and just when he was putting it out with a branch, Connor came and started arguing with him. Without thinking, he hit Connor with the branch, which resulted in him getting up and grabbing Isaac's throat to save himself. Isaac stabbed Connor with James' knife repeatedly after all this. Isaac felt guilty and tried to revive his scoutmaster, but to no avail. He then tied the victim to a bonfire since he did not want the young scouts to see the dead body. However, when Isaac came back after returning James' knife to his shack to frame him for Connor's murder, the rain had already started and the bonfire was extinguished. This led the young scouts to discover Connor's died and burned corpse at the bonfire. Isaac was sentenced to 15 years in jail with a chance for parole and 7 years by Judge Hall. Okay, let's describe let's talk about the murder weapon, which is the knife. It did belong to Mr. James Savage, but what's crazy is that yes, after all this, Isaac felt guilty and tried to revive his scoutmaster. This was the part which kind of like made no sense. Like, why would you revive someone who you just killed? And that is just beyond insane. I'm going to put Isaac Weston, excuse me, on an S tier, first S tier list, because what, like I said, why the heck would you revive someone who you want to kill when you could just not kill the person instead, and instead of killing him, could have just leave the, I don't know, or took the scouts with you, with your scout mates. Tell them that, oh, we're leaving this place because our scoutmaster is starting on a restricted fire zone, that maybe you could have prevented the murder, but too late. He was pissed off. Gotta knock him out. Boom, he's killed. And that is why I put him in the S tier, first S tier, even though the weapon that he used was an ordinary one. But considering the fact that he did try to revive his master after being guilty, which it was too late, and then they tried to burn the corpse, but karma strikes back. The rain started to like drop, and the scout kids get to see the burned corpse, which traumatized them. So yeah, scaling this 1 through 10, this is a very hard one as well. If this were happened to a real scout group, I would say Isaac Weston, I believe. Yes, Eagle Scout. If this were happen in real life, and if I were to rate it as scaling out of 1 out of 10 to someone who is an Eagle Scout, I would say they have to be, they could easily get irritated. So if you put that, then I would say 4 out of 10. But if you put or if they're really easily get irritated, then I would say it's 7 out of 10. Only if the Eagle Scoutmaster was get easily angered. So yeah, I would say it's 7 out of 10. But if you remove that, if the Eagle Scoutmaster is like easily calm and collected, then I would say it's a 4 out of 10. It takes a lot of willpower to like break someone, especially if they're a nice person. So yeah, let's move on to case number 30. This case is very absurd and weird. The case titled "The Woolcraft's Creature Murder Weapon Experimental Machine." But again, at the same time, it's it takes a lot of insane amount of willpower to, use something like an experimental machine to kill someone else. But I'll read the plot story, if you will, for you to be able to understand it. After the electricity went down in the station, Ramirez informed the player and Jones that the whole district was plunged into darkness. Following an overload at 301 Shelley Street, after they reached the household, they found a girl who was found electrocuted inside the garage laboratory. They then interrogated the house owner and scientist Victor Woolcraft, starting the murder investigation. After Victor Woolcraft got home, made investigation, the detectives discovered that Elphaba Franz Woolcraft's dog had gone missing from her grave. Before gravedigger Evan Imlay brought them the dog's corpse, which Nathan believed was used in reanimation attempts, as it also had other animal parts from extinct animals. Ramirez then informed the team that the victim was an animal rights activist named Claire Godwin, who worked in the Greensboro Museum. Fran then pleaded for the detectives' help after her son and Claire's boyfriend, Percy Woolcraft, had gone missing after an argument with his father. In the end, Percy was found guilty of his girlfriend's murder. Excuse me if my throat is a little bit sore right now. Percy then admitted that his mother was heartbroken when her dog died, since they had trained very hard for the annual dog pageant competition. Fran's husband, Victor, could not watch his wife in such a state, so he dug up old theories on reanimation in order to give it a try by reconstructing Elphaba by using stolen bones and other cadavers' body parts. However, Claire discovered about this, and as an animal rights activist, she found it disgusting and raw. She then threatened Percy that she would report the Woolcraft's criminal endeavors to the police, but Percy could not allow this to happen to his parents and decided to kill Claire. He connected the victim into one of his father's experimental machines and then turned it on. The machine could not sustain the voltage and overheated, electrocuting Claire, who instantly died after being fried alive. Judge Hall made it clear that she would discuss the Woolcraft's offenses some other day and sentenced Percy to 30 years in jail without the possibility for parole. Okay, let's, excuse me, I'm sorry about that. Okay, the murder weapon is an insane one. Experimental machine. You gotta have an extensive knowledge to operate this kind of machine. So I would say it's a very complex murder weapon, or it's a very complex tool, if you ask me. And the second one was, I would say it's a very absurd one, is because, I get it. They had just lost a dog, and that dog was very meaningful to the family. They could have just, at least, I don't know, they could have just bought another dog. I don't know, after, I don't know, 2 years of grieving of a lost dog. I don't know, it's up to you. Choose on what time do you get to grieve, and how many months and years you get to grieve over the loss of a dog. But yeah. Um, Rating out of 1 out of 10, since the murder weapon is very complex, I'm going to say this once in a while. I think it's a 1 out of 10 because, like I said, the murder weapon was very, very complex. And yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next case, which is the very last case. Case number 31. Dog eat dog. Murder weapon was poison carrot cakes. Victim Molly Robinson. Well, looks like Lily Robinson does not have anyone to visit her in prison. Yeah, that's what the police said. The annual dog pageant had arrived in the historical center. However, Chief King informed the player and Jones that there was a murder in pageant arena. They then quickly headed to the arena and collected the body of Molly Robinson, who was found dead along with her dog Puchikin. The mayor started to put pressure on the police, demanding that the incident get resolved swiftly, and the team started the investigation. During the investigation, James Savage Husky and Mr. Snuggles Gertrude Piccadilly's dog were both found dead. Nathan was very irritated that you had to autopsy dogs, but in spite of his unwillingness to autopsy animals when needed, he concluded that the killer used to use the same cupcake recipe to kill Molly Puchikin, Mr. Snuggles, and James Husky. Additionally, the Ramirez took over Jones' place as a result of Jones being incapacitated due to food poisoning. In a shocking turn of events, the killer turned out to be none other than old lady Margaret Littlewood, who was also one of the contestants in the dog pageant alongside her dog. Okay, we're getting near here. When confronted by Ramirez and the player, Margaret explained that she wanted to win the competition at any cost, since her grandchildren never visited her, and this competition was her only opportunity to shine. She also confirmed that she was the one who poisoned Jones with her cupcakes. In the court, after being asked for it, Margaret handed the police the antidote to her poison and asked the police to give Jones her secret book of recipes. Much to Jones' disdain after he discovered that Margaret was the one creating the negative impact on the pageant, and her dog asked her so that he could take care of it and enter the dog pageant competition for the death of Molly. 3 innocent dogs and the attempted murder of Jones. Judge Hall sentenced Margaret to life imprisonment with a chance for parole in 15 years. Okay, there's a lot of facts to digest here. The murder weapon, yes. It's a freaking poisonous carrot cake. If you mix in with the reason, I think this would be a B tier, first B tier list if you compare it to Gloria Fernandez, if you compare Margaret Littlewood to each other, because if you think about it, Gloria Fernandez lost her baby when of course Hector confessed that Hector wasn't watching the baby like he was supposed to, and of course he killed him, cut him off the edge. As far as for Margaret Littlewood, she's like an old version of Gloria Fernandez, except that she did experience having children, but the only difference is that her grandchildren never get to visit her, and so she was very frustrated and kind of like she was desperate for attention, and then she thought, hey, maybe I could join this dog pageant show and then I would win. But of course, I'm going to do everything it takes to win by killing all these dogs. Molly Robinson's dog, but if you look back at it, Margaret Littlewood's intention was actually to kill Molly Robinson's dog. She did not expect that Molly Robinson would actually eat carrot cupcakes as well, which resulted in her death. So yeah. But again, I think we would still be able to arrest Margaret Littlewood if Molly Robinson did not choose to eat carrot cupcakes. But yeah, she would still be arrested by the police. So yeah, that's why I put Margaret Littlewood on the first B tier over Gloria Fernandez, because Margaret Littlewood is like the much more worst version of Gloria Fernandez. So I hope you love this tier list video. Oh yeah, one more thing before I get to end this video. I also have a special announcement to make. Now, as you know, this will be the last video that I will be creating this year, but I will also be letting you know like what time or what day I will be able to get back on uploading, even for a little bit, especially during summer days, or excuse me, or for summer vacation. So yeah, I'll keep an update on my Instagram. You can follow me there. I will leave my Instagram name on the description below, and as well in the comments if you can't see it for some reason in your mobile devices. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this tier list or rank video. I will also share this on my Twitter page. My Twitter page is also there, and yeah, peace out.